Shalom, Kol Halo Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim HaKakodash, double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them, who taught us this truth. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. I'm the brother Yeshua. I'm back with the WW3 Daily update. I'm going to start right here. Oh, Shalom and salutations to you as well. I'm going to start right here at 2 Ezra 16 from the top. Woe, meaning destruction, be unto thee Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee Egypt and Syria. Gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. Okay? A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? All right? So we're looking at this Syria right there. So this happened yesterday. Okay? 5 hours ago. CBS Mornings, U.S. carries out retaliatory airstrikes in Syria after drone attack kills U.S. contractor. All right, so that pretty much says it all. Let's watch this and maybe one other, and we'll get a couple of precepts, and then we'll try to be as short as we can.
We begin with some breaking news. The United States has carried out retaliatory strikes in Syrian territory after a drone attack in the country killed a U.S. contractor. 5 American troops and another contractor were wounded. According to the Pentagon, the U.S. strike targeted groups with ties to Iran, operating in the eastern part of Syria. Holly Williams has more on this. Holly, good morning.
Good morning. Well, we are witnessing an escalation of violence in Syria directly involving U.S. forces. U.S. officials say that a base in Syria used by the American military came under rocket fire this morning. There are no initial reports of U.S. casualties. That follows airstrikes overnight ordered by President Biden, targeting groups in Syria aligned with Iran. During Syria's 12-year-long civil war, Iran's been closely allied with the Syrian regime. These images are believed to show the aftermath of some of the U.S. strikes. They were retaliation for a drone attack yesterday on a base used by U.S. personnel in northeastern Syria. The Pentagon says the drone used was of Iranian origin, killing that U.S. contractor. 5 American service members and another U.S. contractor were reported injured. Now, we've spent quite a bit of time on bases used by U.S. forces in that area. American troops went into Syria in 2015 to fight against the Islamic State, or ISIS, and around 900 U.S. service members are still based there. The Syrian conflict doesn't get much attention these days, but it is ongoing. It's drawn in the US, Iran, Russia, and Turkey. And as these events show, it's still deadly. Tony.
So, yeah, it doesn't get much attention because you're being diverted. Let's watch. Is that what we just watched now? What is this? U.S. launches retaliatory strike. Let's watch this real quick. Salakia. Of course they got to have a commercial. Bear with me. Here we go.
The Pentagon says an Iranian-made drone killed an American contractor and wounded 5 U.S. service members after it struck a base in northeast Syria. President Joe Biden responding with airstrikes against groups affiliated with Iran's Revolutionary Guard in Syria. And you can see ambulances rushing to that scene and what looks like a burning building off to the side. The U.S. still has roughly 900 troops on the ground in Syria to help stamp out ISIS. Just yesterday, their commander testifying to Congress about how Iran is using proxy militias to attack American soldiers with drones and rockets.
So let's go to our national security reporter, Natasha Bertrand. She joins us live at the Pentagon. Natasha, good morning to you. This breaking overnight. The U.S. military says it's ready to respond, not just to this, but to any additional Iranian attacks if this continues to escalate.
That's right, Poppy. And Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin did issue a statement last night saying that he authorized the strike after President Biden ordered it in response to a series of attacks by these of groups affiliated with Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps against U.S. personnel in Syria. This is not the first time that the U.S. has conducted these kinds of strikes, but it is these kinds of attacks are increasing, and the U.S. says that it's going to respond in a proportional way.
Question. What is the United States doing in Syria. Drone striking. Does anybody even know that America is fighting in Syria? What business does the United States have in Syria? Okay. That's a good question. Now we can go into more. We just watched enough of that. Let me see. What was this guy's name? General, General, I can't remember the name. General says, General gives list of countries U.S. will invade. Forget his name. General in let me see. Bear with me. I'm going in the spirit right now. Let's see. In 2000. In 2001, General, forget his name. Let's see. I'm going to find this. Clark. Okay. Let's listen to old Wesley Clark. Okay. Huh. This is very important. Okay. Because really, this guy's going to give a list. And this is directly after 9/11. He's going to explain what's going on. He's going to explain. General Wesley Clark. They hadn't even gone into Iraq yet. They hadn't gone into Afghanistan yet. He's going to give the list of countries that America wants to invade, which Syria is on that list. See, 7 countries, right? And Syria's on that list. And after Syria, I believe, is Iran. And they got bogged down in Syria. So you had to go through Syria before you can get to Iran. So let's listen to this. Okay.
The allegations of the...
Let me start at the top. Here we go. Okay, wait. This is the Democracy. Wait. Trust No Man channel. General Wesley Clark, NATO USA, planned to invade 7 countries weeks after 9/11. This is 6 years ago. Okay. This is very important as to what we see right now. How long ago was this? Okay, apparently it was 2007. Okay. He's going to speak on what was said, what? Weeks after 9/11. So that he's speaking on what happened, events that occurred weeks after 9/11, which was 2001. Okay? So let's listen close. Listen for the names Syria and Iran and the 7 countries. You'll be able to go through the 7 countries and find out where they succeeded and where they got bogged down.
Do you see a replay of what happened in the lead up to the war with Iraq? The allegations of the weapons of mass destruction, the media leaping on to the bandwagon.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we got a good military and we can take down governments. And he said, I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail. So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
He said in 5 years. This is in 2001. All right. So how far are they behind schedule is the question. The plan was to be in and out of Iran by 07, what he's talking about right here. Right? Salakia, not that 7. But this broadcast is in 07. So right now when he's speaking, they should have been done with Iran. And they haven't went into Iran yet. They're bogged down in Syria. Well, let's listen to the 7 again, because he mentioned them. All right.
He said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
Syria was in there.
This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq.
My fellow citizens, at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger.
And then Syria.
We had a chance to talk about a wide range of international issues, including the situation in Syria. And I have to say that all of us who've been seeing the terrible pictures coming out of Syria and Homs recently recognize it is absolutely imperative for the international community to rally and send a clear message to President Assad that it is time for a transition. It is time for that regime to move on. And it is time to stop the killing of Syrian citizens by their own government.
Lebanon.
They both had different reasons, the State Department and the White House, for wanting Israel to do it, encouraging them to do it, supporting them. Our Air Force worked very closely with the Israeli Air Force for months before this, not necessarily with a deadline, knowing when it would happen. It was always going to be whenever there was an incident, they would take advantage of an incident. The word I used was fortunate timing. When Hezbollah grabbed some of the Israeli soldiers in early July, that was then a pretext, I think that's the only word, for a major offensive that had been in the works a long time.
Libya.
Today we can definitively say that the Gaddafi regime has come to an end. The last major regime strongholds have fallen. The new government is consolidating the control over the country, and one of the world's longest-serving dictators is no more.
Somalia.
Well, violence isn't only on the rise in Afghanistan. In fact, it looks like America's shadow wars have now increased by 1. Drone strikes have long been reported in Pakistan and Yemen, but now there's news that a week ago, a U.S. drone aircraft fired on 2 leaders of the Somalian organization Al-Shabaab.
Sudan.
President Obama is sending 100 combat-equipped troops to Central Africa to advise local forces on getting rid of one of the continent's most vicious operatives, Joseph Kony, the head of the Lord's Resistance Army, a group responsible for atrocities across the region. It's the first open deployment of U.S. ground combat power to Africa since the Black Hawk Down incident in Somalia in the 1990s that killed 18 troops. U.S. troops may wind up now in Uganda, South Sudan, the Central African Republic, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It's part of a growing military effort to engage in Africa.
Finishing off Iran. I said, is it classified? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, don't show it to me. And I saw him a year or so ago, and I said, "You remember that?" He said, "Sorry, I didn't show you that memo. I didn't show it to you."
I'm sorry, what did you say his name was?
I'm not going to give you his name.
So go through the countries again.
Well, starting with Iraq, then Syria and Lebanon, then Libya, then Somalia and Sudan, and then back to Iran.
The order of the countries was wrong, as was the time frame, but it is still eerily accurate. Seems to me that Wesley Clark was telling the truth. Yeah, Iran, you have to go through Syria to get to Iran. Okay, let's see, what is this?
We've never finished the investigation of 9/11 and whether the administration actually misused the intelligence information it had. The evidence seems pretty clear to me. I've seen that for a long time.
Okay, anyway. So, very compelling, yeah? Very, very compelling. All right. So, yeah, Babylon the Great, right? Let me see. What precept shall I? He covet fields. Let's get that. Slovakia. Yeah, we're gonna end that. But here's what's going on. All right. They covet. Slovakia. Let me go back. They covet fields. Micah 2 and 2. Let's start at 1. Micah 2 and 1. Woe to them, woe is destruction, to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields, different countries, and take them by violence. This, right? Where's Wesley? Wesley is explaining on this list when he picks up this paper, right? The list of fields that they covet.
In the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years."
They covet fields. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses, and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Okay? Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, against this family, the Edomites, do I devise an evil from which ye shall not remove your necks. Neither shall you go haughtily, right, proudly, for this time is evil. What family? Against this family do I devise an evil. What evil? Bad times, right? Well, let's get it. What evil? Let's go Isaiah 63. What's going to happen? This is what's going to happen. Isaiah 63 and 1. Who is this that cometh from Edom, right? With dyed garments from Basra. This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. That's talking about the one you ignorantly call Jesus Christ, whose name is Yahushua in the Hebrew. Okay? He's coming from Edom, right? And with vengeance in his heart, right? To do what? To tread down the people in his anger, make them drunk in his fury, and bring down their strength to the earth. Whose strength? Starting with the Americans, the Babylonians, okay? The Ninevites, all right? And this is what we see going on, okay? That's what this means right here, this, what is it? U.S. carries out retaliatory airstrikes. This, come on now, see if the devil is going to allow us to see it again. Had a little map out. No, the devil don't want the truth coming out. Okay? Anyway, we'll go ahead and close it. That's a good enough picture of the devil right there. Yep. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, we'll go ahead and close it. One more. What is this going to culminate in? Do you think that these people are okay? All the countries that they took down, and that was a very good video, by the way, right? They broke it down. Do you think that these people are not mad at Babylon the Great? What's going to happen as a result of that? Oh, that came right up. This is Revelation 11 and 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Second woe is referring to the Second World War. The third woe coming quickly is World War III. America can't just go around doing what the hell they want to do.
We begin with some breaking
Anymore, right? Okay? Syria was part of that. That's what this is. U.S. carries out retaliatory airstrikes in Syria after what, again, what is America doing in Syria? Right? Well, where's Iran? Here's the story. Where's Iran? Right here? In order to get to Iran, you got to take down Syria. Okay? And they didn't make it. Well, what are they doing right now? Let's see. U.S. sorry, says Iran will have nuke in 12 days. This is 20 days ago now. Where does this go? Where will this take us? Iran, just 12 days, right? U.S. official. Iran can make an N-bomb in 12 days. How many days? 3 weeks ago. Okay? Now, how did they get in? They used weapons of mass destruction to go destroy Iraq. Well, what is this? Okay? Read the tea leaves. It's pretty simple. All right? They covet fields, do they not? What do they want in Iraq, in Iran? What do they want over there? They covet fields. They want them oil fields. They covet them oil fields and take them by violence. All right, so we'll end it right there. And we hope that the electorate edified you, brothers and few sisters. With that, we're going to say shalom.